Hello Catskill High Algebra students. Welcome to Unit 6B, Lessons 5 through 7. We're going to be handling some exponential growth and decay. So you can see that today's date is 5/4, so make sure you're doing the right date. We're having exponential growth, so we are using a different formula than linear. We're using y equals ab to the x, where a stands for our start value, which is y-intercept, and b stands for multiplier, is how we're multiplying or changing those numbers. And over here we have a discussion about what the b value does. Well, if the b value is greater than 1, then you have growth. If the b value is less than 1, then you are going to have decay. All right, so you're going to see number 1 here. Melissa deposited $1,200 in a certificate of deposit account that earns 3.2% applied at the end of each year. Which of the following calculations would correctly predict the amount of money in Melissa's account at the end of the 4 years? All right, now I did a little bit of pre-work here. You can see that 1,200 is our starting value. This is growth, so it has to be above 1, so 1 plus, and 3.2%. Well, that's a percent changed into a decimal. Looks like 0.032, okay? And the way it gets changed into a decimal is you're just doing 3.2 divided by 100. And if you just put that together, you should be able to start to see your answer. 1,200 times 1.032, entire thing raised to the 4th power. So that one was a little tricky. If you go too fast, you could put it. So we're going with choice 3. All right. Number 2. I've got that semi-worked out as well. A trail bike that was originally $895 went on sale for 15% off the original price. Additionally, a sales tax of 8.125% was applied to the purchase of the bike after the discount was applied. Which of the following was the total cost, including tax, of the bike purchased with the discount? All right, now check out my calculations here. I'm doing $895. I'm going to figure out 15% of it by multiplying by 0.15. That becomes 134.25. So that's what you're saving, okay? So that's our saving. So we're going to do $895, and we're going to subtract the savings to see what I have to pay. Looks like I have to pay $760.75. So now comes the tax. Take your $760.75 and apply the 8.125% tax. So I'm going to multiply by a number larger than 1. I'm going to move the decimal on the 8.125% twice to the left, so 1.08125, and multiply this for a final calculation of the tax. Add it on for $822.56. That is choice number 1. All right, so starting with number 3, I don't have anything worked out. We're just going to do. So for number 3, it says the value, V of t, of a new car is decreasing according to the function V of t, 22,465 times 0.88. So that means this is definitely decay. It's smaller than 1. Where time is measured in years and V of t is measured in dollars. Which of the following represents the average rate of decrease in the value of the car over the 5 years? Well, average rate of decrease, that right there is the same as average rate of change. So I hope that change in y over change in x is, running through your head right now. If you want to do change in y over change in x, you need 2 coordinates. Well, they're interested in over the first 5 years. Well, here's our first coordinate. 0 meaning like time 0. We just started. Well, what was the value of the car at the beginning? Well, 22,465. That's our coordinate, 0, 22,465. And then 5 years later, well, how would you figure out 5 years later? Well, you're going to have to put 5 where that t is. Get a calculator because it's a tough calculation. and you're going to have to calculate that. If you do, you end up with 11,855.50. So now you have two xy's, xy, xy. So that's enough to do change in y over change in x. So let me see if I could fit this in here, change in y over change in x. I probably should use v and t, but that's okay. So I'm going to go with my y's, 22,465 minus 11,855.50 on top. So I subtracted my y's on top, and now I'm going to subtract my x's on bottom. 0 minus 5. That's going to give me 1,0609.5 on top and negative 5 on bottom. Type that into your calculator. I'm really running out of room here. And you are sitting at negative 2121.9. Well, it's negative. That makes sense because you're losing value in this car. And that should bring us to choice 2, another average rate of change question. All right, and bottom of the page, number 4. Maria's property tax bill was $4,135 in 2016 and $4,524 in 2017. Which of the following is the closest to the percent that Maria's property tax bill has increased over the given 2 years? Well, I think this is an example of just growth. Something that was this size turned into this size. So watch this. I'm going to go 4135 multiplied by something. I'm going to choose variable r. And when you multiply by this r, it turns into this higher value, 4524. And solve that. Just go ahead and divide by 4135. And you'll have this rate, this r value. Calculator is going to say something like 1.09407,497. I don't think we need all of that, but you could see it is growth. This number, this multiplier, is above 1. Well, we don't really care about the 1. We care about the part that's after the 1, that decimal. If you change this decimal into a percent, you move the decimal once, twice to the right, and you're back into the percent format. 9.4. Honestly, we don't really care about the rest. If you look at the answers, we got it. 9.4%, which is choice 1. All right, and that's all we had on the front. Let's see what we got on the back. All right, guys. So, for number 5, the number of milligrams M of a drug in a patient's bloodstream T hours after it has been injected can be modeled by the exponential function M equals A, B to the T. The graph of the function is given below. Based on the graph, which of the following is closest to the value of B for the model? All right, so if we could just get some coordinates that exist here. That's an easy one. It's a y-intercept. That means at that moment it was 0, 3. And then let's go over to 1, x value 1, and kind of just do our best to estimate this. It looks like it's 1, 2. So remember, this is exponential, which means the y value was 3. Somebody multiplied by something, we use r again, 3 times something, and then it changes into 2. Well, let's figure out this multiplier by solving just like that last question. Divide by 3. R equals, and they're all in decimal form, so let's just make this, that's like 0.6 repeating. Is there anything close to 0.6 repeating? All right, and then remember, it says closest, so we're not going to be perfect on this. 0.62. Number 1 is ridiculous. That's growth. That's growth. So the only other option was 0.91, and that's not close. So you stick with 0.2, or option 2 on that one. All right, so now we have another percent question here. Paul is currently paying $500 per month in rent. Next month, unfortunately, his rent increases 8.5%. Part A, find 8.5% of 500. Okay, very similar to the front of the page. 500, you want to know 8.5%, you need to move the decimal twice to the left, so it's 0.085. All right, you're going to type that in your calculator, and you're going to get 42.5. Okay, so that's just half of the calculation. So you were paying 500, so here's the increase part, plus 42.5. It's a pretty hefty increase there, $542.50. Put that 0 on the end, is the new rent now. Okay, so that's what they wanted for part B. Awesome, it's done. All right, so that's called two part calculations. Number 7 is reminding you how you do it in one calculation. Using a single product, find the result for each of the following, show the product and the result. Okay, here we go. Increase, so if it's increase, okay, that means it's bigger than 1, by 28%. All right, so that means it's bigger. So I mean, imagine this. You get 100% increased by another 28%. That means you're making the number 128% its size. Of course, you never calculate with the actual percent. You have to move that decimal once, twice. So we're going to do 200 times 1.28, and that's just going to be 256. One calculation, and that's done. Over here, decrease. All right, so if you have all of something, you have 100%, and if you're going to decrease it, you have 19% less. So now you're down to 81%. And as we said before, you don't want to calculate with the percent, so you're going to move that decimal once and twice, and what do you know? It's less than 1. So we're going to say 380 multiplied by 0.81 in our calculators, and we are down to 307.8 done in one calculation. Okay? And this last question seems like a really tough question, but it's not bad at all. The human population on the Earth can be modeled by P of t equals 3.1 times 1.016 to the t, where t represents the number of years since 1963, and P of t is measured in billions of people. That's important. Is the human population of the Earth increasing or decreasing? All right. All you guys need to do is take a look in here at this number, the multiplier. Is it bigger than 1 or is it smaller than 1? Well, it looks bigger than 1 to me. So you're going to say increasing because the B value is larger than 1. And the last question is an interpret question, which means you are supposed to write a sentence. You're not supposed to say, I don't know how to do it. You're supposed to interpret it using the words that they gave you up here. So it says P of 5 equals 7.42. Well, that means if you plug 55 in where T is, the answer is 7.42. But here's the interpretation based on what they told you. 55 years after 1963, the population on Earth will be 7.42, and put your label on it, billions of people. And that's all there is to that. All right, everybody. I will see you in a couple of days. Keep working. Good luck.